The cargo hauler Meridian's Edge had been making the same run between Proxima Station and the outer colonies for 3 years without incident. Tobin Cade, the ship's chief engineer, knew every hiss, groan, and rattle of the vessel's aging systems. So when he heard the scratching in the ventilation shaft at over 300 hours, he knew immediately that something was wrong. "Not again," Tobin muttered, grabbing his toolkit and a flashlight. The last time they'd had stowaways, it had been a colony of Viridian moss rats, nasty little creatures that chewed through insulation and left acidic droppings everywhere. The cleanup had taken weeks. He pried open the vent cover in the engine room and shone his light inside. 2 glowing eyes stared back at him from the darkness, and something small darted away with a sound like wind chimes. "Definitely not rats," Tobin said to himself. He'd never heard a rat make that sound. Over the next 2 days, Tobin caught glimpses of the creature. It was fast, impossibly fast, and it seemed to phase through solid surfaces when cornered. The crew started complaining about missing rations, specifically anything with high mineral content. The ship's doctor reported that someone had broken into medical supplies and stolen calcium supplements. Tobin set up motion sensors and low-light cameras throughout the maintenance tunnels. When he reviewed the footage, his jaw dropped. The creature was no bigger than his hand, with iridescent scales that shifted from deep purple to electric blue. It had 4 legs, a long serpentine tail, and delicate wings that folded against its back. When it opened its mouth to bite through a power cable, Tobin saw rows of needle-sharp teeth and a forked tongue that flickered with bioluminescence. "That's impossible," Tobin whispered, rewinding the footage. "That's a dragon. Not a dragon from Earth mythology, but close enough." The resemblance was uncanny. He'd seen plenty of strange alien species in his 15 years of space travel, but nothing that looked quite like this. Most aliens were either insectoid, amorphous, or vaguely humanoid. This creature looked like it had stepped out of a medieval tapestry. Tobin spent the next day researching every xenobiological database he could access. Finally, he found a match. Piprax species, native to the volcanic moon of Drakenheim in the scorched reaches. They were listed as critically endangered, with fewer than 100 individuals remaining in the wild. "What's a Drakenheim dragon doing on my ship?" Tobin wondered aloud. He decided to try a different approach. Instead of chasing the creature, he set up a feeding station in a quiet corner of the cargo bay. Calcium-rich food pellets, mineral water, and a heat lamp. Then he waited. It took 3 hours, but eventually the tiny dragon emerged from the shadows. It approached the food cautiously, sniffing the air with its forked tongue. When it determined the coast was clear, it pounced on the pellets with surprising ferocity, eating like it hadn't had a proper meal in weeks. Tobin watched from behind a crate, holding his breath. Up close, the creature was even more magnificent. Its scales caught the light like jewels, and when it spread its wings to balance while eating, he could see the delicate membrane was translucent, revealing a network of veins that pulsed with faint light. "Hey there, little one," Tobin said softly, stepping into view. The dragon froze, its eyes locked on him. For a moment, Tobin thought it would bolt. Then, to his surprise, it sat back on its haunches and tilted its head, studying him with intelligence that was distinctly non-animal. "You're far from home, aren't you?" Tobin said, crouching down slowly. "How'd you end up on a cargo hauler?" The dragon, Piprax he'd decided to call it after its species, made a soft trilling sound. It wasn't aggressive, but it wasn't exactly friendly either. It was wary, calculating. Tobin reached into his pocket and pulled out a piece of copper wire he'd been carrying. Piprax's eyes lit up, literally glowing brighter. It chirped excitedly and scurried forward, snatching the wire from Tobin's hand and immediately beginning to chew on it. "Figures," Tobin said with a small smile. "You've got expensive tastes." Over the following weeks, Tobin and Piprax developed an unlikely partnership. The dragon stopped hiding and started following Tobin around the ship, perching on his shoulder or nesting in his tool bag. In return, Tobin made sure Piprax was fed, safe, and supplied with all the metals and minerals it craved. The crew was initially alarmed. Dragons, even tiny ones, had a reputation in the galactic community. But Piprax proved to be surprisingly helpful. It had an instinctive sense for electrical problems, often alerting Tobin to failing systems before the ship's diagnostics caught them. Its ability to squeeze into impossibly small spaces made repairs easier. and its bioluminescent glow was perfect for illuminating dark corners. When the Meridian's Edge finally docked at Proxima Station, Tobin faced a difficult decision. He'd researched Drakenheim dragons extensively and learned that they were being poached to extinction. Their scales were valuable, their bones were used in traditional medicine, and their eggs sold for millions on the black market. Piprax had probably been smuggled aboard as cargo and escaped during loading. Returning it to the authorities might mean sending it back into danger. Tobin looked down at the tiny dragon curled up in his jacket pocket, fast asleep after a long day of helping with repairs. It trusted him completely. "Guess you're part of the crew now," Tobin said quietly. He filed the official report as pest control issue resolved and listed Piprax in the ship's manifest as a Class 4 maintenance drone. No one questioned it. After all, who would believe a cargo hauler was harboring a dragon? As the Meridian's Edge undocked and set course for the outer colonies once more, Piprax climbed up to Tobin's shoulder and spread its tiny wings, basking in the light of the passing stars. Humanity had always been known across the galaxy for one thing: adopting strays. Whether it was a half-dead alien in a crashed pod or a miniature dragon hiding in the vents, humans had a habit of taking in the lost and forgotten. And Tobin Cade? He wouldn't have it any other way.